We need to stop greedy businessmen from buying football clubs, lining their own pockets, and then running the fans' main source of entertainment to ground. There's so many clubs that have been destroyed or nearly destroyed by one thing, and that's greed. Some recent examples include Bury, Macclesfield and Morecambe. It also happens to some huge clubs too, like Parma, Leeds, Rangers, Bolton, Portsmouth, Crystal Palace. There's so many. It's crazy. At Stuart Bailey said, as a Northampton Town fan, I was shocked to hear his chairman claim that we had to spend £1.5 million just to stand still in League One. Seems Wrexham and Birmingham blew wages up big time last season, so buying players and paying higher wages is even more difficult for smaller teams. I don't even think it's more difficult for smaller teams, not saying that Barnsley's like the biggest club in the world, but historically we are like a mid-championship team. But even we have to, well, our owners have been pumping money into the club to keep it afloat. I think it was about 4.5 million. And I know that season that we made like a £7.7 million profit from selling players. That were all just the club's accounts for, that were the 23-24 season. Owners across all leagues will be pumping money into the club, of course. My argument with Barnsley specifically, but it probably applies to other clubs and all, is that they're not pumping the money into the club for the fans. It's like, I don't understand where it's going, to be honest, because as fan zone is absolutely shocking. We have nothing. It's just like some umbrellas outside and little stand-up stall Madry things, and every now and again we'll have a performance from someone, but it's just never like, they don't put enough energy and effort into that or money to make that good for the fans. They could get volunteer people to like perform every weekend. No doubt someone will do something for us. It's just neglected. Ticket prices are ridiculous, especially like the adult prices. I can kind of just get on board with that. Like an adult who's been a fan for life will probably pay that amount to go and see their club play. But the young adults, the teenagers and the kids, it is disgusting. Like, no kid, like, we're the next generation of football. I'm saying we because I'm a young adult. Not all of us can afford to pay as much as we're getting charged. And it's not just Barnsley. There's so many clubs in EFL that are like this. And sometimes I'll be going to an away game and I'm thinking, Jesus, I'm paying adult prices for a young adult ticket here. On what planet? Like, we're still not making your average minimum wage. We're still on a lower minimum wage. Come on now. £2 off what an adult ticket would be is not going to make people want to come to your game, mate. At Robbo59 said, not just businessmen, greedy footballers, greedy agents and their hangers-on. Players always stating it's a short career, but no forces anyone to be a footballer. They know the score before signing on. Back to what the comment before said, I think a lot of this is based on clubs paying crazy amounts of players and increasing the expectations for wages and just outright signing fees. Players and agents expect more because players on a similar level might be getting that amount. You know, if they're seen as a good investment, it's likely that they're going to be more money. Just like it would be in a 9-to-5 job. If you got a promotion because you were the best at whatever you were doing, you're going to get more money. And that might push other people around you in your workplace to improve and get that promotion. However, some of the players around other players that have great performances and are worth a lot more money think that because they're getting that much, they should get a certain amount too, which is not always the case. Obviously, they're not always as good. But I think it's kind of set in solid stone that, I don't know, in League One, you shouldn't be earning any less than £2,000 a week. I'm not saying that's exact, but it's like, if you're a League One player, you shouldn't be. But they're not always worth £2,000 a week in wages, or worth a certain amount in the signing on fees, or the how much they're just getting outright bought for. At Sean said, I've been a Barnsley fan since I was 5. I'm 58 now. This is so bad for a long time. We will get used to 6 to 8k fans in the next year. How do you sell the best player we had and then bring a 33-year-old who's not scored in 2 seasons on a 6-month contract? Keep going, could be League 2 next season. I'm not going to lie, Sean. I am kind of with you on this one. I don't agree with how the club have done business in this particular situation. I'm not ruling Tom Bradshaw out at all because I can't remember him. I'm not going to lie. I've heard good things. And he could come and really impress. But the stats are not very promising. He is closer to the end of his career. He's also not a regular starter, or he hasn't been a regular starter at his previous clubs. And he's definitely going to be more prone to injuries with his age. I know we've got David McGoldrick, who is like the argument against that, but David McGoldrick's like a different breed. I don't think you get a lot of players like that. The undisclosed fee side of thing is what really, really, really makes me mad. I think we are paying every weekend, working class fans are paying every weekend to come and see these players play, and we're not allowed to know how much they've been bought for, and we're not allowed to know how much they're being sold for. It's not fair at all. Like, we should know how much is coming into our club and how much is going out of it, not just every now and again when there's a club accounts report. We want to know every time, just like Premier League clubs get to, and your European teams. It's not fair. It really makes me mad. Like, if it weren't for fans, you wouldn't have that money to spend. Because I know there's a lot of arguments that TV rights and blah, 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 like all this, sponsorships, still never going to be enough to run an EFL club. Never. Because we don't have your Sky and your BT like paying for TV like they do in Prem. We don't get big sponsorships. Like, we have local businesses sponsoring us, and if they're not doing out to impress the fans, the club, the local businesses are eventually going to think, well, there's no fans going, so why should I pay £1 million a season to have no customers coming my way because there's no fans going to games? We deserve to know the financial situations of our club every single season. Every single player that's sold, every single player that we buy, we deserve to know. Just saying. At Claire said, I do think more clubs will go bust. The financial side of things is unsustainable. Relating back to what I've just been saying about club accounts and everything, you can see that owners are already having to pump money into the club for whatever reason. But again, they should be investing in the fans, so we invest back into the club. Like Wrexham and Birmingham, for example. Wrexham were like a tiny club, and now I know like it's got a lot of tourists and everything, and that's not how every club would do it, but the things that they do, people are going to pay for. People are going to pay to come and watch that. Same with Birmingham. And I know everyone don't get a Ryan Reynolds or a Tom Brady, you know, at the club, but even if it's a tiny amount of money you're spending on fans in comparison to other things, make sure you work smarter, not harder. Like, think about what you're investing into and think about what's going to bring it back to you. If that makes sense. You don't even have to be the football side of things. Like, obviously get your good players and whatever, but think about the off-pitch things that the fans are going to invest in, like kits and things in club shop, general things in club shop, food, drinks, hospitality. There's so many things that I could be doing to make it better. Nate Hill 6767. No, I'm not doing that. Said, I know it's Sheffield, but perfect example is Sheffield Wednesday. I feel for them. I hope they find a competent owner soon and become competitive again. I'm with you. Like, I hate Sheffield Wednesday, but it is absolutely disgusting what Chancery's done to them. I wouldn't wish it upon my worst enemy. They are my worst enemy, so this is very telling of my character that I actually feel bad for you. It's awful. Like, no one wants to see that happen to any football club, especially not a club with so much history and such a big fan base, even though half you are from Barnsley, but we'll not go into that. It's disgusting. And like, I've been obviously keeping up with news about Chef Wednesday and the people that are going in with offers for this club. How are you ever going to run a football club? How? The EFL needs to be doing more checks on who are buying these football clubs. Do they even know what a football is at this point? How does John West Tuna Man know about football and how to run a football club? He don't, clearly, because he's absolutely destroyed it. There needs to be more checks put in, financial checks, and I think it's like a poker player that's been interested in him. I can't remember his name, but his net worth is nowhere near enough to run a football club, especially not a Sheffield Wednesday football club. Like you said, with all this money that owners are having to pump into clubs because the expectations for signings and wages are so high, money-wise, you need someone reliable that's going to have that money to say, right, I'm going to have to chuck a couple $1 million into this season and I'll do this and this to get it back. How is this poker player guy going to know what to do? It's just like jumping out at frying pan into fire for them with that. And the EFL can't let that happen. I'm sorry, you can't. At Andy Blade said, it's true, unfortunately football is now more of a business and not for pure love. The greed has well and truly taken over the beautiful game. Exactly. Less and less fans are attending games now. And I see it not just at Oakwell. When I go to away games, you can see that there's just so many empty seats in League One. And that's because the smaller clubs and the small town teams, we don't have tourists coming in like Man City and Arsenal and Liverpool. We don't have corporate fans. We don't have glory chasers because, well, why would you be chasing this? Yeah, we don't have that because we're just small clubs. And I don't know, maybe these business people are coming in thinking I'm going to pull a Wrexham and I'm going to pull a Birmingham, but you've got to have the knowledge and the creativity and the finances to do that, not just an idea. And someone said, oh yeah, that's a good idea, do it. You've got to be smart about it. You've got to, and clearly not many owners are doing this because how many clubs are just becoming nothing. At Under Jacko once said, younger people don't have the attention capacity to watch full games anymore. A lot of fans are happy to watch the highlights via TikTok and do something else on the weekend. Sad reality, but I don't see football being what it was in the UK in 50 years. Under Jacko one, I don't really agree with this. I think football is a very ever-changing thing, even when it's just on the TV, like every second. Any second, someone could score a goal. Any second, someone could slide tackle someone, cause a fight, and they can all get sent off. Like, it's so unpredictable, you never know what's going to happen. So I don't agree with that. I think the people that aren't going to games and watching highlights on TikTok aren't fans. Maybe there's a reason for the fans that aren't going and watching it on TikTok, like maybe the protesting or whatever, but I don't agree with that. I think attention span and football are completely different categories because football is the most unpredictable thing in the history of Earth. At John Martin 9853 said some of the investment is money laundering or tax avoidance. Like I said earlier, big clubs are clearly FFP in every week you turn. Man City predominantly, what on earth? Why is it that as soon as Chef Wednesday get fun out for a little bit of FFP, maybe not a little bit, but some FFP, they're straight away punished? But why is it that Man City, they're building a case against them? Why can't they get done for what they already know and then keep getting done when they get figured out? It's not fair. FFP needs to be knuckled down on for a fair chance. Clubs are going bust because not all these owners can afford to pump insane amounts of money in, buy the world's best player, Messi or Ronaldo, and cover it up with a proxy finance report. At Homesick Alien _61 said the stadiums will still be full in a decade. The TV subscriptions will be still selling in a decade, but no, you're right, there won't be half as many football fans. The life and soul continues to be sucked out of game and is replaced with corporate hospitality, glory-seeking fanboys and girls, and ever-growing generic sanitisation of the way the game should be officiated and played. Loyal fans won't stand for disregard of them and the preferences whilst they're a football fan of a certain club. Owners who don't listen to the football fans are the most important part of football. They are. Fans and players wouldn't be possible without them. If the owners of the club aren't listening to fans, they will end up with nothing. No fans. Tourists will only come until the club and its organic fan base disappear into abyss. How long are tourists going to keep coming to a club if they're not getting any atmosphere from the rowdy football hooligan fans? Like, the tourist fans don't do that, but they come to see that. How long is that going to continue for if the fans are dropping like flies? Estico83 said the problem is two-sided, neither is right or wrong. Football is a business and fans say the club belongs to them, but the fans don't pay the bills, don't pay the wages, and they don't keep the lights on. Football needs rich owners. From a fan perspective, it kills me to see that we aren't competing in League One at the minute, although I do believe we have a squad capable of top six. Nirav can't pump millions of his own money in, it's got to be through income earned. As I've said, I do agree with you. Like, they can't pump millions of their own in because, like, it would be financial fair play. But I think there's things they can invest in to generate more money and more profits from the fans. Like, you know, when it's a Tuesday night game or it's a weekend and it's a quiet one, like, not many people have bought tickets or, yeah, things like that. Why don't they do deals for kids? Kids come for a quid, or bring a friend for free. Bring a friend for a tenner. Even that, I'm not saying give loads of free tickets away, but do deals, do offers, encourage people to come and spend money, because even if they're spending a tenner on a ticket, they might buy a pie at half time, a pie and a pint. The little girl might say, "Dad, I'm thirsty." Might give a bottle of Coke, you might get an half-time draw. You might have a look in club shop and see something that you like. Do you know what I mean? You need to be encouraging more fans to come, even if it's not for full price. It's better having a ticket that's gone for a tenner than an empty seat. Like I've mentioned before, a fan zone would be a start. That fan zone, it makes me laugh. I'm sorry, but it's so bad. Like when I look at other people's, went to Bolton last weekend and the fan zone were amazing, like looks of it from outside. I didn't go in it, but they had all different little food trucks, like entertainment for kids, more and more targeting that younger generation. It's so important. Obviously you've got to adhere to your older generation as well, but that younger generation is going to be what keeps that club afloat. And if you're not doing out for them, it's not looking good, bruv. Better half-time entertainment. A lot of away clubs that I've been to this season have had really good half-time entertainment. Barnsley's, not saying it's bad, but it could be better. I know they've got to get the sponsors included in stuff like the little kids who are mascots and stuff, but why can't we get a local artist to come and sing? I'm sure there'll be many local artists that would be willing to do that to get the sends out there. Do you know what I mean? Why can't we do it? And my biggest one for Barnsley is the social media. I'm not saying it's bad. There's good stuff and there's bad stuff. But I feel like the target audience on Barnsley social media, when I scroll through it, is over 25-year-olds. like I've mentioned many, many times throughout this video, and you're probably getting sick of me saying it, we need to be targeting younger generation to encourage them to come to our games. Now, social media these days, it's less about your media-trained interviews and your football highlights. Unless there's obviously everyone watches football highlights and media-trained interviews, but people want to see behind the scenes. People want to see players coming in for training and getting asked, what's your cheat meal? Like, that's what my generation want to see. Most of them anyway. You might disagree with me on that, but kids want to see players doing daft things whilst they're warming up, dancing about and saying 6, 7 or whatever. Kids want to see that realistic side of players. People want to get to know the players through social media and not just the bog standard interviews and like what they're doing out on training pitch. Obviously that still sticks there too. That's a base, a social media for a football account that always needs to be there. But you need to start leading off into different paths to encourage that audience. At BHABW24 said, as a Bolton fan, I think that fit and proper checks aren't done properly. I nearly lost my football club 6 or 7 years ago. Is everyone actually trying to provoke me with this? We went from Bayern Munich away to Burton Albion away and playing Barnsley about 15 times in 5 years. Historical club struggling. Another big reason is money from the Premier League doesn't filter down and massive parachute payments if you get relegated. But to basically take you back up, teams that don't go up due to relegation is usually down to, once again, bad ownership or poorly run club. Like I said, this is all down to EFL just not doing the checks properly on owners that they're allowing to buy football clubs. Also, do people even do like, what's it called? I forgot what it's bloody called. You know, like when we sold John Stones and then he went to Man City, they won Champions League, we got like a percentage of that. I can't think what it is in my head now though, it's gone. It's on tip of my tongue. What is it? I don't know, it's gone. But anyway, yeah. And then in Prem you always see, it's like yo-yo, like Leeds, Sheffield, Southampton, who else? It's just a yo-yo, never-ending cycle of clubs that go down and clubs that come back up. Can any other EFL clubs even afford to get up to Premier League at this point? I don't know. At 55, York's Faith said, 30 years ago, clubs were owned by local business people who had a genuine connection with the club, towns and fans. Now it's all rich entrepreneurs who only care about commercial success and generating money, and zero interest in true fans. Owners come and go, but football fans have one team for life. In my case, Blackburn Rovers. And in my case, Barnsley FC. I think as last properly successful campaigns where football fans were actually, Barnsley fans were actually invested and happy with the way the club were being run, were Patrick Crine. That sadly ended in 2017, which is when Lee and Conway come in and co. And they had a pretty decent run for like 2 seasons. Obviously we were in championship playoffs in 2019-2020 season, COVID season. But I feel like that would just kind of like how you get a new manager buzz when a new manager comes, everyone's like, oh yeah, and they might beat a couple of teams and win a couple of games, and then it's like, what the hell is happening here? I feel like that was kind of case with our owners, because then it was just like, downhill, so downhill, ridiculously downhill. Again, I think there just needs to be more checks on who's signing clubs. That's the bottom line of all this, really. People caring, people who care, people who are passionate about football and passionate about the fans and the town and the club itself, who care what's going to happen to this club. if they don't, run it successfully. Final response from Ben_Armstrong7. As a Bolton fan, I think the EFL have to do more. So many northern clubs have gone through the struggle. Bury gone, Bolton and Wigan both nearly gone, Coventry, Sheffield Wednesday, Blackburn now going through it. I understand football is a business, but these small town clubs are the heart of the town. We got lucky with our owners and so far it does seem to be going well. But the truth is, you never know what's around the corner. Ben, you hit nail on head there. Small town clubs are the EFL. They flood through our EFL. And the communities, they're not just fans, the communities. There'd be no EFL if it weren't for small town fan bases. And I think that's what the owners are lacking. The knowledge of what it's like to be in a small town fan base, a community. It's actually really sad. So footy fans, I think a lot of us are on the same wavelength when it comes to how these clubs, specifically the lower league clubs, are being ran. I'm saying specifically lower league clubs, but are these FFP final bosses getting away with everything that they're doing? And when are they going to get punished for it? When are we going to stop seeing the yo-yo Championship Premier League teams going up and down and up and down? Promotion and relegation. Like, how many teams are just never getting promoted and stuck in one place, or are getting promoted, then getting relegated, getting promoted because their owners aren't running the clubs properly? When is it going to be back in the football's hands, the talent's hands, the players' hands? When is it going to be back in that? Because now we rely on businessmen. When are we going to rely on the actual football game itself? See you next time on Kick Off with Kadie.